Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find a way to watch or listen to this podcast. It is me, Omar Sean Borja, the Burger Popper, joining you with my good friend and co-host, Bobby Wilson of the TNT College Ball Podcast for week three of the Race to the Lambert Trophy. Another exciting week in different ways. We had a couple of marquee games, a couple of late finishes, some of them heartbreaking, and honestly, one result that came out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, honestly. And I say that as it happened to my team, in a good way. But Bobby, how's everything going before we start?
Well, as always, Omar, thank you for having me. Obviously, today has been a difficult day as an American, but we're very excited to be here talking ball with you. I think that's a good opportunity for a lot of us to just unwind kind of and just talk about something that we're passionate about and we enjoy. And I think that's something that we might need right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely a somber day, for anyone, whatever side you stand on the poll.
Mhm.
It's just a tough day in general. Violence is just never condoned. It just doesn't make America America. But you know, we'll try to do our best to talk about football and just kind of change things up. Give some pause a little bit. Just talk about a bit about college age men chasing after an egg shaped ball, and we'll get on with it. So, so going on with this past week. So starting off with just a weekly recap. We had a few good games. I mean, of course, the biggest game in the Northeast. I guess like one of the biggest game between Lambert Trophy teams participating was UConn Syracuse. And Bobby, that's a game that you talked at length on your podcast about. And I know I don't want to put alcohol on a wound on any wounds, but yeah, like I guess I'll let you take it away from there. Just like your takeaway on both teams in the UConn Syracuse game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, people know I cover the Huskies pretty extensively. This was a game coming into it that I and Pete Cowan, my co-host for the UConn chats that we have each and every week, this is a game we really thought, okay, this is a turning point potentially for maybe a turning point is the wrong way to put it, but this is a good stepping stone, is what I should say, for our program. Um, Getting that win would put us in a trajectory to be going uh, sky high. Obviously, first half we compete very well. We actually, I'll say, first three and a half quarters we compete very well. We do the things that we should be doing. Honestly, we're controlling the line of scrimmage. We're winning the battle in the trenches on both sides of the football, playing significantly well. Um, and then things just kind of unraveled. We made some mistakes defensively. I know the second half play calling in certain situations was a bit questionable, but at the same time, we didn't execute. So I know UConn fans were upset about play calling and the like, but at the end of the day, players got to go execute as well. So it goes both ways. Kudos to Syracuse. They got the job done. They made the plays that they needed to play or need to make to win the football game. And the Huskies didn't at the end of the day. That being said, it obviously hurts because we were so close.
Yeah, I know how that feels. Just coming so close to a regional rival. I mean, how you feel is how I felt in 2023 when Army lost to Boston College, in just a game where I can just replay it almost, on a loop. Just Bryson Daly slightly underthrowing our receiver inside the red zone in a play that would have been a touchdown in a game that we lost by 3 points in the rain. But I guess just being so passionate about these teams is just what makes fandom so great. It's like the,
Mm.
the lows hurt so much, but the highs are almost like are just spectacular. But yeah, I mean, I really felt for you guys too, because I was like, man, like I'll be honest, I jinxed it in my head, but I saw the 17-6 score, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like UConn's really gonna do this. I'm like, what a great win for the program. Like the ball's really rolling here for the
Hmm.
UConn hype train, but man. I mean, crazy things happen in the dome because that kind of reminds me of I think I want to say it was like the Purdue Syracuse game where like Syracuse came from like behind, like, you know, almost miraculously against Purdue on the Friday
Mhm.
night in the Dome. So crazy things happen in the Dome for sure.
Yeah, and we went away from some things too. Like there were some things that we were really doing really well. Like Mel Brown was really clicking, running the football, and he only had 5 carries, which was a little concerning. Cause like, man, like you got a guy who's really dominating the football game, and you just stop giving him the ball. It's one of those perplexing things where you're just kind of like, okay, what's going on here? But at the end of the day, like I said, players got to execute. They got to make plays, and Syracuse did when they had to.
Yeah, exactly. And like you mentioned Mel Brown too. I think I saw you retweet the fact that his last carry came early in the fourth quarter. And I just
Hmm.
look at that backfield too, just from a casual fan that doesn't watch as much UConn as you do. But like I just feel like they got to blend the carries better because Victor Rosa
Yeah.
only getting 3 touches, like how dynamic he was back in 2022 in the bowl season, like that just doesn't
Hmm.
seem right for this UConn team. But I mean, you guys have plenty of opportunities. I guess before we turn it into another episode of your UConn Weekly show, I mean, UConn has plenty of opportunities to notch Power Four wins. Or they have a couple more against Duke and
Yep.
Boston
Yep.
College. Boston College being a Lambert Trophy eligible team, which I mean, Boston College, man, like what a game this past week. Dylan Lonergan, they might not have won, but they got something. They've got something in Dylan Lonergan that they haven't had in a while since I'd say Anthony Brown from a passing perspective, and
Hmm.
it's really exciting. You don't see that out of Boston College.
Right. I was impressed by both teams in that game. The showing that both quarterbacks had. I was that was a game like I didn't watch the entire thing, but I will say like I kept flipping over to it, and every time I would, it seemed like either one of those guys, Childs or Lonergan, was making a play, and it was just like okay, there's something here for both of these teams moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I looked at that one, and I know I think either on air or like before we went live, like I mentioned that I forgot that game was even happening. Both schools must have seen that as bulletin board material and really showed me because I was
Let's roll
quite.
with that.
Yeah, they're like let's make sure Omar watches past Draymond Green beating the drum. Let's make sure he watches past the theme song. So which
don't get me don't get me started on Draymond Green. As somebody who grew up in mid Michigan, playing against that guy, don't get
Yeah. So I think that's a good segue then to go on to your poll then, Yameen. So let's display this really quick. Okay, so for your Lambert Trophy rankings, a little bit bigger than last week. I decided to do a screen cap this time. We're still working the
me
presentation. It's not. I mean, you come here for the discussion, not exactly the presentation. But like you had mentioned, actually, you mentioned earlier, but you put Pitt at number 2 over Navy, which I mean, I think we'll talk about Navy a little bit later on. But we got Penn State number 1, Pitt number 2, Navy number 3, and how about Rutgers at number 4? I mean, Rutgers might be one of the biggest movers, if not the biggest mover in your poll. Syracuse at 5, UConn at 6, 7 at Army at 7, a huge jumper after their
started.
big win against Kansas State. Boston College at 8, Buffalo at 9. Buffalo kind of staying kind of stagnant there too. I mean, not much you can draw from being St. Francis. No offense to the Northeast Conference and NEC Blitz. Love the Northeast Conference, but it is what it is. Temple at 10. Temple kind of sliding up a bit. West Virginia at 11. Delaware at 12. And then UMass low at 13 after a troubling loss against Bryant.
They
And
can they can put that on me because I did mention that in last week's episode how the loss was potentially there. So that I UMass fans, I'm sorry, you can put that on me.
I honestly, I feel like we all kind of saw it. Like nothing against UMass, but Bryant was actually impressive against New Mexico State. And like in
Right.
retrospect, like that's an not losing 19-3 to New Mexico State, who beat Tulsa. That's an impressive loss in retrospect. Like Bryant is definitely a sleeper in the Coastal Athletic Association. So,
Mm-hmm.
but still, no excuse for an FBS team to lose to an FCS team. I know that firsthand as an Army fan. So yeah, just a lot of big movers on your poll, Bobby. So going to my poll in comparison. So for me, I got Penn State number 1. I got Navy at number 2. Still, I got Pitt at number 3. Um, for me, I know Pitt was impressive against Central Michigan, but it just was not enough for me to kind of put them over Navy. To be honest with you, I don't think Navy showed enough towards the end of that game especially coming back from a rain delay. Coming back fresh, unlike they did against Rice last year when they were put in the exact same situation. I think that alone was just a good enough explanation for me. I also have Rutgers at number 4 just to spice things up because man, Ethan Kaliak-Manis really showed us. Honestly, I mean, I don't think I ever said anything like he's a solid quarterback, but yeah, he really showed us that man, like no Kyle Monungai, no problem for the Scarlet Knights, at least in non-conference play. Syracuse at number 5. I got Boston College rising to number 6 despite the loss because I mean they really impressed me beyond. I think they had a better showing in their first 2 games. Whatever you can drop from your first 2 games, they've had a better cumulative showing than the teams below them. I got Temple at 7. Just because of how decisively they've beaten teams. I know they look like an impressive September team, but they're doing what they have to do. They're not really having trouble against FCS opponents. They're not having trouble against UMass. So Evan Simon's doing really good. Put Army at number 8 because of the win against Kansas State, and then like we were talking about beforehand, like Tarleton. Um, honestly, and I know I put them above UConn, but I value a 3-point loss to an FCS school to the number 3 FCS team in the country over a blowout win against an NEC team. So that's kind of why, because I kind of wrestled with that too, where it's like, man, I should put UConn at number 8, beat Syracuse, but then again, Army just beat Kansas State. So that's kind of my reasoning there, where it's like, man, like Tarleton, like just that 3-point loss to a team like Tarleton, and yes, they're an FCS school. Yes, there's no excuse for it. I feel like that was even more revealing than just a win over a Northeast Conference school because there's not much you can draw from that. Same thing applies for Buffalo. Buffalo, of course, was impressive against St. Francis, so nothing against them. West Virginia as well. Like, you called your shot with Parker Navarro and Ohio, Bobby, and they delivered. So kudos to you. Delaware at 12, and Delaware is not even like a bad 12 too. Like they were in that game
They're
against.
not. Yeah, they're
They,
good. Like they're gonna have a really solid season. I promise you.
yeah, like Conference USA right now is very hard to predict besides Jacksonville State, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
It is anyone's guess who can appear in that conference championship game. So I'm excited to see how Conference USA unfolds. And then UMass at 13, as we mentioned earlier. So going back to just a general discussion, Bobby. So who was your biggest surprise in a good way of this past week among Lambert Trophy eligible teams?
Well, I'm gonna go with Pitt because obviously I had them jump up to 2 over Navy, and it's not that they beat Central Michigan that's surprising to me. I think it's the way that they did it. They dominated the football game from the jump. And Central Michigan had a very, very solid win week 1 at San Jose State. Very impressive win to go across the country, basically playing late on a Friday night, and they came away with a victory against a team coming into the season in San Jose State who I was projecting to have a very, very good year. Obviously, they've struggled through 2 games, but time will tell with them. But I was just really, really impressed with Pitt on how they manhandled Central Michigan in that game because Central, with their new coaching staff, is really focusing on the trenches and those things and taking care of business that way. And obviously, Pitt is a power conference program, and they have the players where they can handle those things. But it was the way they did it that just impressed me a lot. Obviously, Rutgers, we both think very, very impressive in that regard. But I got to give it to Pitt.
Yeah, so I mean, like it was kind of a pick one situation because we are thinking about those 2 teams as well in terms of pleasant surprises for this week. So Rutgers is my most pleasant surprise just because of the quarterback play and really what Rutgers showed from an offensive perspective. Like we know how Greg Schiano is going to operate for Rutgers. It's been that way since his first stint at Rutgers when he had Ray Rice, guys like Paul James, Joe Martinek, Jersey Joe Martinek even. That's a deep cut for a lot of Army fans who witnessed him run all over the place on a Friday night in 2009. But yeah, like Ethan Kaliak-Manis was really amazing, really surprised me too. And it's not like he had to put the team on his shoulders, but when the play action's working well, He showed when the play action is working well, when the run game is established. Like he was really proficient, threw for 259 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I thought that Miami would make this game close. We both know that DeQuan Finn is a very talented quarterback. And yes, he's still kind of shaking off the rust after not really playing in 2024 for Baylor. But this, like, Rutgers was really dominant and proved they were the better team. And I mean, they showed incredible balance too. Like this feels like, I mean, it's still early to tell. There's only been 2 games, but if Kaliak Manis can continue throwing the ball and force defenses to respect him, that will only do wonders for the Rutgers run game and could help them, potentially pull off a couple of upsets against that gauntlet of a schedule that we've talked about. So Rutgers really impressed me. The offense was different in a good way.
Absolutely agree. Again, like that was one of those games coming into last week where you and I were both saying there's a potential here for something. Kind of the way that I was saying about Ohio and West Virginia, even though I felt more confident in that one than the Miami Ohio pick. Um, but yeah, Rutgers proved a lot over these past 2 games. Now, yes, they're MAC teams that they played against, but they're two of the upper echelon in the MAC, and it's going to give Rutgers a lot of confidence moving forward. This week they get Norfolk State, so they should handle their business there. But to be 3-0 heading into Big Ten play is going to be huge for them, especially. I know we've said it a million times, but with the schedule they have in front of them, they've at least put themselves in the right situation to have success.
Yeah, and we know that Greg Schiano is going to beat a team he's not supposed to in Big Ten
Every
play.
year.
It never
Every
fails.
year. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
never fails. So, I mean, like, I could count on Greg Schiano to get 3 wins in Big Ten play to get Rutgers to another bowl game. So that'll be exciting too. So, I mean, that Rutgers really, really impressed this week. But I guess on a negative note now, which team disappointed you the most?
Well, I mean, as a UConn fan, obviously that loss was disappointing. But at the end of the day, I got to go with West Virginia, even though I picked the upset. But to only put up 10 points, and I understand they had some injuries that are really going to hurt them now moving forward. But that's that's a rough loss for them. Kudos to them for going on the road to play a Group of Six program. First of all, in Ohio, um, obviously, I'm high on the Bobcats. I think they're going to be very good. But that's not a game if you're West Virginia that you should lose. And at the end of the day, like they just didn't come out. They had a rough showing. They picked off Parker Navarro numerous times, so I give them credit there. They did a pretty solid job against him. But you got to be able to get more than 10 points against Ohio in that setting.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, if you want to be taken seriously for the Lambert Trophy, like you got to beat teams like Ohio. I mean, teams that you have the I guess competitive advantage over. But like you said, like I mean, Ohio, they have not lost a beat. I mean, despite the coaching change, Brian Smith is doing an amazing job. It's great that they kept the hire in house. Honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yeah, you got to think too that I mean, you know, West Virginia just continues to kind of be, I guess, continues to struggle breaking through like the glass ceiling in the Big 12. Like we just keep waiting each year for the year that West Virginia is going to break through. And they could. I mean, the Big 12 is full of parity. Arizona State lost
Yeah.
this past week, a shocker. So the Big 12, I mean, I'm not writing them off the Big 12, but when it comes to building a resume for the Lambert Trophy, the loss to Ohio is going to hurt them when they're stacked up against a one-loss Penn State team, or I mean, can't really say Pitt because I'll play Pitt head to head, but mostly a one-loss Penn State team, or even like an undefeated Navy team or a one-loss Navy team will loses to Notre Dame. I mean, in both cases, West Virginia is going to have the worst loss. So, and
Right.
also too, like West Virginia beat a team or lost to a team um, that another Lambert Trophy team beat in Rutgers. So they also
Yeah.
have that going
Yeah.
against them. So just so many hills that they will have to overcome if they want to be awarded the Lambert Trophy. So agree 100% with that one. So
Yeah. I think we could go another route to, you could say, UMass losing against an FCS foe. Granted, we already discussed this. Bryant being a very formidable foe. But at the end of the day, like that's a loss that you can't
Yeah, and I mean, to say the least, around the UMass community, there's a lot of disenchanted people with the program right now, and understandably, because you've been in the subdivision for 13 years, um, haven't really seen any growth, and this is expected to be, the year of growth at least, or a period of growth. So maybe there's some growing pains. UMass is chock full of transfers that are just learning to play with each other, so that could be an
Right.
issue. I mean, UMass is one of the more transfer heavy Group of Five programs that I can remember the past couple of years too. It just seems like they're just a hard team to forecast. Where it's just almost like Temple slash Sam Houston this year levels of a mass exodus and influx of players. So, I mean, honestly, though, I think with UMass, we'll talk about it later on. Like, I think that they'll have a chance to bounce back against Iowa a little bit, just with the way that Iowa plays the game. I mean, I actually wrote up that game preview today. So, but yeah, I'd have to agree with UMass. For my disappointment, I'm gonna go with Navy. To be honest with you, like I expected that one to be, just a blowout, honestly, right away. So all credit to Trent Dilfer and UAB for playing with Navy and just continuing to play with them despite the weather delays, the rain delays that or the thunder delays that happen, lightning delays. But man, like Navy on defense showed some like severe liabilities. The run defense was solid, really, but I mean they struggled to defend, Jalen Kitna in UAB, and that's gonna be a huge problem facing offenses like North Texas later on in the year, like South Florida and Memphis. Those are three high octane offenses. Even add in Temple and Evan Simon, who Evan Simon has been throwing the ball amazingly. I mean, so that there was kind of some liability there. And like in terms of the offense wasn't really bad exactly. But if you can say it's a bad thing, I want to say that the offense kind of relied a lot on explosive plays. And I think we've seen this before where Navy ideally as a service academy, you want to have sustained drives. You don't really want to track meet. And so, Navy can put points on the board. Obviously, they did last year against Memphis in that, 56-44 win. And that's a good thing too. But that's not exactly where I think Navy wants to be, especially against Notre Dame too, where I mean,
Mhm.
Navy was explosive against Notre Dame. It was just the turnovers that did them in. But I mean, the fact that things just kind of seemed, I guess, more explosive and less efficient from a offensive perspective. I mean, Blake Horvath went 6 for 8 for 168 yards and a touchdown. Not a bad performance at all. Really great, honestly. But I mean, you take away two throws of 60 plus yards, and he only completed 4 passes for 40 yards ish. And I mean, that was those two passes alone accounted for, I'm not going to do the math, but but a good chunk of their offense. So I would say Navy's offense. I guess it's just nitpicking with the offense in terms of just sustaining drives and being too reliant on big plays, but the defense really was alarming, honestly. And um, yeah, quite frankly, I don't really know what to make of the pass defense.
I mean, that's part of the reason why I moved Pitt ahead of Navy was because of that performance. Just not what you expected coming from that game against a UAB program that is that's kind of fallen by the wayside. Let's say you expect Navy to go into that game and just kind of take care of business and be the effective team that we know that they can be, the disciplined team that we know that they can be, and defensively, it looks like they might have some question marks.
Yeah, I will say, I think that game kind of reminds me of the Charlotte game from last year for Navy, where I won't say it was as weird as the Charlotte game, but it didn't feel as dominant as just looking at it on the surface would make it out to be. Like you would look at it and say, oh, it's a 2 touchdown win for Navy. Same way you would look at the game last year, Charlotte, where I think they won 47-17, but Navy was gifted the ball with a bunch of turnovers. They had a couple pick sixes, few explosive plays, and it's like at the core of it, Navy wasn't as dominant as they were. Um, I guess just really able to capitalize on big plays and capitalize on opponent mistakes. So we will see. They do play Tulsa this next week, so maybe they'll regroup. I mean, I think that'll be a good opportunity for them to regroup, especially with Tulsa possibly having to start their backup Baylor Hayes over Kirk Francis because Francis has a concussion, or yeah, I think Francis has a concussion. So
Mm-hmm.
good chance for them to regroup. But yeah, I think that was a good call. Honestly, it could have gone either way for number two and number three with you switching Pitt and Navy and just keeping Navy there. So yeah, definitely something to monitor in the coming weeks, especially as Navy goes into American Conference play.
Mhm.
So going on to our storylines and games of the week. So for the Lambert Trophy, so for a storyline, I honestly just looking at the slate, like there really aren't much Northeast versus Northeast games. I mean, the couple of storylines that come to mind are more so regarding dark horses and kind of like elimination. So, of course, the game on everyone's mind in the Northeast is the backyard brawl. It's happening again. I think this is the last game in the contract, sadly. So it might be the last time we see it for a while. But Pitt, your number two team, my number three team plays West Virginia. I mean, this might be a last ditch effort for West Virginia to get back in the Lambert Trophy race, which causes me to ask would a loss in the backyard ball eliminate West Virginia from contention for the Lambert Trophy?
It probably does because we're then forecasting. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to go undefeated in the Big 12 this year, just for looking at how competitive that conference is. Um, and plus, as well, I mean, we're thinking Penn State, Pitt, Navy are going to have very, very successful years potentially. How many games is Penn State going to lose? I don't think they lose more than two, and their losses would be against teams that would be better than the losses for West Virginia in that sense.
Yeah, I would have to agree, honestly, where it's like in an ideal world, like you said, West Virginia could rebound the season and end up going winning the Big 12, going 7-1, which would put them at 9-3 in the regular season if they lose to Pitt in the backyard brawl. And then if they win the conference championship game, then that would make them 10-3. But I don't see them I don't see them honestly making a run in the playoff, and I feel like it would take them to make a huge run in the playoff for them to end up winning the Lambert Trophy because then that adds in playoff wins, bowl wins as well, along with the conference championship, and say they would because the Lambert Trophy is for the most accomplished team in the Northeast. They would have that at least over Penn State if Penn State were to drop a couple of games in the Big Ten, but I like it's like you said, Bobby. I think it would just be too insurmountable. Just comparing resumes, honestly, the loss to Ohio, unless Ohio ends up going 12-1, going to the playoff, like that won't be as good a loss as what Penn State has, or will probably have, or even Navy will probably have if they end up losing to just Notre Dame, or end up beating Notre Dame and losing to whether it be Memphis, Memphis, a Memphis team that ends up going to the playoff or winning the American Conference. So it's tough to say early on September 10th that this is a must win for the Lambert Trophy game. I know we said that last week for UConn Syracuse, but for a lot of those teams on the outside looking in, like a lot of these games are kind of must win games.
Absolutely. Then you kind of look at like Penn State. Okay, if they have two losses, let's say they're to Oregon and Ohio State. Like, let's be honest. I mean, we you kind of know where you're leaning in that way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really is crazy too, and like maybe it's a deeper discussion too for how big some of these conferences are. Where it's like, it's like if they lose to Oregon or Ohio State, and those other teams didn't play the other teams, it just becomes a whole conundrum of just the
Yeah.
18 from the
Yep.
Big Ten. So it's like we have to rely on just like our perceptions of those teams because those conferences are so big. So I
Right.
mean, yeah. So I guess a more fun early season scenario. Man, I can't believe we're talking about this game in this way, but we got Temple, Oklahoma, a battle of undefeated teams. Well, I guess it's not too unrealistic to see Temple be undefeated, but in the way that they've won, we're gonna have to take Temple seriously. And I mean, at this point in the season, but if Temple finds a way to beat Oklahoma at home at the link, are they now a Lambert Trophy front runner?
I would say so. I mean, that would be the biggest win thus far this season for anybody. I don't know if we're going to catapult them to number one, but I think you can make the debate at least because they went out and proved it on the field against the best opponent that anybody has played thus far. So I think that's I'm really, really excited about this game because I want to see how competitive Temple can make this game. Um, they've just played really, really solid. these first 2 weeks. And yeah, we know that it hasn't been the highest level of competition, but the way that they've won these games, like we keep saying, Evan Simon has played absolutely fantastic. 9 touchdown passes. He's slinging it all over the field. I mean, I'm really impressed by this young man.
Yeah, like Evan, I just looked. Evan Simon has 9 touchdowns on just 35 passes. And like you said, the competition has been great, but anybody throwing touchdowns at that rate should be taken seriously. And like I always thought in the back of my head, like Evan Simon can be something if Temple can just keep him upright. Like last year, he had the five, I think it was either 5 or 6 touchdown game against Utah State, threw for 6 touchdowns against UMass this past year. Like I'm really intrigued by this Evan Simon, John Mateer quarterback duel, but it's not just that. Where it's like in past years, like Temple just hasn't had balance. Like they have balance now with Jay Ducker at running back and with an experienced offensive line. So I mean, laugh if you will. People watching this, people listening to this, but like I think Temple can hang around in the first half a little bit before
Right.
Oklahoma pulls away. But there's always a possibility. You don't play the games on paper for a reason. I mean, if you played the games on paper, Army would have lost to Kansas State because they lost to an FCS school. So, I mean, anything's possible. And I
I
think,
will.
oh, I'm sorry.
I'll always say I was at Michigan App State and I was at NIU Notre Dame. Anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, like at first I joked about Temple, Oklahoma being a Oklahoma home game in Philadelphia, but I kind of believe that there's a little bit of buzz around Temple. Casey Keeler, a local guy, coaching the team. They're started 2-0. There's a reason for some optimism. I do think that Oklahoma fans will outnumber Temple fans still, but I don't think it will be to the degree that I originally thought. Like, um, yeah, so I'm honestly excited for this one. I'm kind of disappointed it's not on ABC. I thought that would have been an ABC game that ESPN would have thrown a bone to the American for that one. It was right there. It was right there. But I guess they're saving
But
that American ABC spot for the Arkansas Memphis game next week, from what it looks like. But yeah, it was
well,
right there.
Omar, they got to put Alabama on TV as many times as they can. We know
Yeah, exactly. Like the SEC owns ESPN. It's the ABC is now the SEC network. You know, part. I mean, it's SEC network. Even if they got a cool theme song for those ABC games. I'm not a country fan by any stretch of the imagination, but they picked a catchy song to lead into those SEC broadcasts. I'm not gonna lie,
that. They
but
did.
but other games in the region that are within Lambert Trophy part eligible teams that are catching my eye, honestly, like Boston College, Stanford too. Just I'm excited to see what Dylan Lonergan's follow up act is, and then one that of course you are monitoring closely is Delaware Yukon. The Yankee Conference is back at the FBS level with these two playing. I mean, man. Just as someone who grew up kind of flipping channels as a kid after school and seeing reruns of a coastal athletic or sorry back then Colonial Athletic Association games on Nesson and everything, and seeing Delaware and you know just seeing the CAA slash Atlantic 10 just come to life and have that golden era. This is a really fun one too, especially as the CAA starts to kind of like devolve from that original Yankee Conference Atlantic 10 core. So, and like we said too, like Delaware was competitive against Colorado. So, I mean, I expect nothing less from the Blue Hens in this one than to be competitive against UConn.
Right. This is a rivalry. I mean, me and I'll tell everybody just go listen to me and Pete's discussion on the game. Pete played in this rivalry, so this game means a lot to him, and he said some things that might have ruffled some feathers from Delaware fans' perspective. But at the end of the day, like this is a big rivalry, and Delaware has a distinct advantage in the history of the rivalry.
Yes.
So there's no doubt that they're going to come out there ready to go, ready to win this football game. So from my biased perspective as the UConn fan, we got to be ready to go. If we're not, they're going to punch us in the mouth, and this is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a battle, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned Pete and just like participating in the rivalry in the past, and it's like, man, like you can kind of feel like with Delaware, they have the pedigree of just a rich history. Like when like
Hmm.
Delaware is an FCS Division 2. Well, I know they're Division 2 before they were FCS. Like they're a blue blood in every way. Like you think of the guys that played, in that rivalry against UConn, like guys like Rich Gannon we're talking about, like guys like Jeff Colblow, like Scott Bruner. I mean, Joe Flacco didn't play in that rivalry, but yeah, like just the line of just great Matt Nagy as well.
Hmm.
Just a line
Yeah,
of great
yeah, yeah.
Delaware quarterbacks and just great Delaware players in general that played against UConn. So I mean, of course, their fans. This game didn't happen like 5 6 decades ago. This game happened, 2 3 decades ago. So the fans are alive and well that remember Delaware dominating this rivalry, going to the playoffs routinely out of the Yankee and Atlantic 10 conference, I mean, and beating UConn along the way. So I'm really excited for this atmosphere, honestly, for the fans, because I know the few Delaware fans that I have interacted with on the timeline, like they are proud of their history. They're proud of the wing tee.
And
They're
they
proud
should
of
be.
Tubby Roman.
They
Yeah,
absolutely should be.
yeah. I mean, it's a program with a rich history, and like I'm excited to see how the trash talk that happens on both sides. I haven't been on enough to see much of the trash talk, but I'm excited to see how it just comes to life again.
I'm excited too, and I'm glad that this game is being played because these are two, especially Delaware. These are two programs, story programs that have had success through the years, especially in this region. And this is a game that needs to be played, continuing moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and we're starting to see these games kind of, these old Yankee Conference Atlantic 10 games kind of just come to life at the FBS level when they can. We've had UConn UMass for a while just out of necessity, but we've seen. I know you guys have James Madison scheduled in the future too. I believe
Yep,
a few
yep.
years from now. And then I think UMass has yet to schedule Delaware, but I know that AD Ryan Bamford wants that game on the schedule. So it's just an exciting time to seeing these games just come back up in Northeast college football.
Absolutely agree.
So going on, just rounding out the schedule with the rest of the games. I mean, there's a couple of unique old timer games at the FCS level. I mean, you got Colgate Syracuse, man. Talk about a rivalry from the past that once had its heyday. Don't think Colgate's going to win, but it's nice that that game's on a Friday night. I did my research. Colgate unfortunately had never won a Lambert Trophy in their heyday in the 30s. In fact, but the 1932 team was a famous undefeated, untied, unscored upon, and uninvited team to the 1933 Rose Bowl. And they beat Syracuse on their way to that. They rumor has it that they were waiting for their Rose Bowl invitation, but it never came. Instead, the Rose Bowl invited Pitt, who lost in a blowout to USC. So there's always that what if. So I mean, a lot of rich history when you talk about the Patriot League and Colgate, but unfortunately, that rivalry is lopsided. Colgate is not come close to beating the Orange. You also got Villanova, Penn State. I mean, those teams have met a few times in the past. Villanova has gone to multiple bowl games, had gone to multiple bowl games um, from the 40s all the way through the 60s. And then going back to the FBS level, got Navy playing Tulsa and UMass playing Iowa, among other games on the schedule. Boston College playing Stanford. Um, not really much else to draw from those games. I mean, I will say about UMass Iowa, just the way that Iowa plays the game and the struggles they've had at quarterback. When writing that preview, I kind of talked myself into believing that UMass could stick around for a while. I definitely think the 35.5 point spread, and I'm not encouraging people to bet or anything, but just looking at what experts are saying, I think that spread is just too big. Honestly, I don't think in any world that Iowa beats UMass 35 by over 35 points just by the way that they play. Um, but I mean, I expect UMass to kind of figure some things out with the pass defense because they desperately need a reset on pass defense. Like they need to figure things out on pass defense in that one. But I
Well, if you
mean,
need to figure out your pass defense, Iowa's a good team to play
yeah, and I'm really surprised because I had high hopes for Mark
against. Me
Gronowski.
too. Yeah.
Um, I just don't know what it is about the Iowa scheme. I really don't know what it is. It's weird. Something about when guys transfer to Iowa, they just it's like Space Jam, where like they get their powers taken from them. But um, I'd hate to be that guy. I'd hate to be that guy, but the punter battle in this one is really elite, honestly. So Keegan Andrews for UMass against Iowa. Keegan Andrews is averaging over 50 yards a kick right now. He has 9 punts this year. Six of them have gone for over 50 yards, including two 60-yarders. In fact, for UMass, they are more likely to have a 50-yard punt than to complete a pass at this point in the season. Just a fun fact. Statistically, Keegan Andrews is also week one Ray Guy punter of the week. And of course, Reese Dakin for Iowa has had a great year as well, averaging around 49 yards a kick. So the field position game will be alive and well. UMass likes to run the ball, but they'll be starting transfer Grant Jordan from Yale. Talk about a leap up in competition, going from playing the Ivy League to the Big Ten. So good luck to Grant Jordan on that one, honestly. Not much else to say there. But I think that covers most. I think all of the games for the Northeast. Army is on. I'm just gonna check the if I miss any team. Oh, Buffalo plays Kent State. Um,
Yeah,
Not much else to say about that one.
yeah, not much to
Taquan
say.
Roberson is he's looking good. Taquan Roberson is looking good running the ball. He looked good last week against St. Francis. I mean, I know you can speak volumes on Taquan Roberson, but
I'm cheering for him, except when he plays UConn later this year.
yeah, obviously, but he is very dynamic, and
He
he's been
is.
fun to
He
watch
is. Yeah.
at times this year. But yeah, that covers every single game that we've at least mentioned so far. Bobby, do you have anything final to say or add before we sign off?
Well, as always, Omar, thank you for having me. Appreciate these discussions that we have. I do want to add, of course, with September 11th coming, and then the things that transpired today. I think it's important for all of us to remember to just hug our loved ones. Tell the people that you love them, and because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if it's your time. If it's your time, and God tells you you're coming home. So I think it's very, very important that we do that. We remember the acts of September 11th. We pay the respects that we that is deserved there. But also, just like I said, tell the people that you love
Yeah, I don't think you could have said any better, and I feel moved just to share Ephesians 4:26. Be angry and do not
them.
sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath. I mean, Um, shoot, there's just a lot happening in the world. I mean, a lot to be angry about, a lot to be upset about, frustrated, you name it. But man, like you just can't let anger stew within you. You just got to have, and I think that's just a better reason to accept Jesus Christ today. Better day than ever.
Amen.
Just the peace that
Amen.
surpasses all understanding. That no matter what happens in this world, uh, Christ has overcome the world. But yeah, just like with 9/11 too, it's so easy to overlook, and it's so sad that as the passing of time, and I find myself guilty of it too. Of course, I was only 2 years old when it happened, but as time passes, as this country is no longer at war, at least in the Middle East. I mean, it's easy to forget, what happened that day. The innocent lives taken. I didn't expect it to take a somber turn, but just thinking, I just always think about the family that was on their way to Disney World when the plane got hijacked. Where it's like, man, it just really makes you think. So yeah, just like you said, Bobby. I mean, I couldn't express that any better. Where it's like you just never know when each day is going to be your last, because God can call us home at any minute. But yeah, most of all,
Yeah.
too, just um, we just gotta love one another. Honestly,
Yes.
it's hard. We
Yes.
just we just gotta love all. We just gotta love one another. It's tough, but yeah, yeah. So I guess I was less than a I guess an unexpected somber note to end on, but hopefully you enjoyed the Northeast football talk. Hopefully it gave some pause, some relief, and just this tense time. And I just pray that this was a good time for everyone to relax and just sit back and just not worry about the world and just talk about ball. But until next time, everyone, thank you, Bobby, again for joining. Always enjoy talking about about Northeast college football. Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, and be gracious to you every single day. And until next time, everyone, peace, love, and soul, and the burger popper.